Pause whatever you are doing and imagine this. It is 3 a.m. Your bedroom door shakes like a storm is trying to come in. A drunk teenager kicks it open, points at you, and spits the words "Stepdad Wannabe" like poison. No yelling. You stand there calm, but something inside you quietly snaps. Tomorrow should have been your wedding day, yet instead, you cancel everything, return the rings, and leave without slamming a single door. Watch closely, because what happens when a good man stops trying is not revenge. It is colder, cleaner, more final than anger, and it is only the beginning. The house was quiet in that way. Only American suburbs know at night. No cars, no sirens, just the hum of the refrigerator and the distant buzz of a street lamp outside the window. Stephen Harper lay in bed awake, not restless, just thinking. Tomorrow he would finalize the seating chart for the wedding. Laura had fallen asleep beside him hours ago, one hand loosely curled near his arm, the comforter rising and falling with her steady breathing. It was supposed to be a peaceful night, a soon-to-be husband's night. A man closing one chapter, ready to begin another. Then, boom! The sound hit the house like a battering ram. Wood shuddered. The bedroom door shook so hard Laura jolted upright, hair tangled, fear already in her eyes. Stephen did not move at first. He had spent 8 years in Army Reserves, cybersecurity consultant afterward. His instinct was to assess the threat, not react emotionally. He sat up slowly, pulse steady, eyes narrow, not afraid, but calculating. Another slam followed, louder this time, like someone kicking with full body weight. Boom! Boom! Tyler. The realization arrived like cold water. 17 years old. Laura's only son. Wild energy wrapped in entitlement and grief. A boy who never forgave her for divorcing his father, who looked at Stephen like an invader instead of a man building something better. Stephen exhaled once, deep and controlled, feet touching the floor. He opened the nightstand drawer, not for a weapon but for discipline. He grabbed nothing. The act was ritual. Breathe, evaluate, then move. Laura whispered, voice cracking. Please, just hear him out. Stephen did not answer. He walked toward the door like a man walking into a negotiation he already knew was lost. He unlocked it, opened it 4 inches. That was all Tyler needed. The door flew wide as the boy shoved his way in, eyes bloodshot, reeking of vodka cheap enough to burn. A baseball jacket, half on, half off one shoulder. Phone gripped so tight his knuckles were white. He swayed, fighting gravity and losing. There he is, Tyler slurred, pointing at Stephen, words dripping with drunken confidence. The stepdad wannabe. The phrase was a knife. Thin, precise, deliberate. Not a random insult, but something practiced. Something he had stored for the perfect moment. Laura gasped, covering her mouth. Stephen did not flinch. He had spent years in network defense. He knew an attack meant nothing if it never breached. Emotion was the firewall, silence was the encryption. And right now he was locked down tight. Tyler staggered closer, breath like gasoline fumes. You think you get to replace my dad? You think buying me stuff makes you a man? You are pathetic. He laughed, high, cruel, joyless. She is only marrying you because you pay for everything. Stephen stood still. No raised voice, no clenched fists. His face unreadable. The kind of stillness that is not peace but containment. Laura reached for her son, voice soft, pleading, Tyler, stop it, please, you are drunk. He shrugged her off, eyes locked on Stephen, waiting for a reaction. Anger, violence, shouting. Anything he could use later as proof. Anything to justify the resentment he fed on. But Stephen offered nothing, just calm. A cold server room inside a burning building. Go to bed, Stephen said quietly, tone level, every word placed like a chess move. "We will talk tomorrow. Tomorrow." The word felt heavy, prophetic. Tyler snarled. "Tomorrow? There is no tomorrow, not with you." He kicked the dresser, knocking over a framed wedding photo from the rehearsal dinner. Glass cracked like thin ice. Stephen did not bend to pick it up. He just watched the last piece of hope fall to the floor at Tyler's feet. Laura cried silently now, torn between blood and vows. Stephen felt something inside him shift. Not rage, not hate, but recognition. You cannot build family on top of disrespect. You can renovate a house, but not a heart that refuses foundation. Tyler pointed one last time, shaking, voice raw. "You will never be my father. Never." Silence returned like a verdict. Stephen looked at him with eyes no longer warm, just clear, final. Decisions forming like code compiling, quiet, precise, irreversible. He spoke only once more. "Good night, Tyler." Not a threat, not forgiveness, just the last courtesy he would ever offer the boy. As Tyler stumbled away down the hall, slamming his own door, Stephen slowly closed his. Laura sobbed into her hands. Stephen gazed at the cracked frame on the floor, their smiling faces frozen beneath broken glass. He knew then, tomorrow would not be a wedding day. It would be the day he walked away. Years before the sound of that 3 a.m. door kick, there was a diner off Highway 41, where late-shift nurses drank burnt coffee like medicine, and weary men found warmth under neon lights. Stephen Harper first saw Laura there, hair tied up, tired eyes still gentle, blue scrubs smelling faintly of antiseptic and lavender lotion. She smiled when handing him his coffee, and he noticed how her hands trembled slightly, like someone who had held too many lives together for too long. Stephen was there after a cybersecurity deployment he had just wrapped, a contract for a logistics company struggling with ransomware attempts. He was bone-tired, laptop overheating in his truck, eyes burning from 18 hours of intrusion detection logs. Yet when Laura asked how his night was, something softened in him. He surprised himself by answering honestly, "Long, but seeing you just made it better." She laughed, quiet and real, not flirtatious but grateful. They talked like two adults who had lived enough life to skip the games. She told him about the divorce, about raising Tyler mostly alone, about working doubles to keep the mortgage paid. Stephen listened, really listened. There was no rush. Love, for them, arrived like an update that installs in the background. You only notice once everything works smoother than before. Their first months were slow, intentional. Hikes on Sundays. Grocery store runs where they compared cereal brands. Nights, Stephen stayed up waiting for her to get off shift, heat up leftovers, and sit across from him at the small kitchen table while rain hit the window. No grand gestures, just presence. Then came the part of love people do not talk about. The part where you try to merge two lives and realize hearts are not code you can debug overnight. Tyler was 14 when Stephen met him. The boy stood in the doorway like a locked system. Arms crossed, hoodie up, eyes narrowed with silent challenge. Stephen offered his hand. Tyler stared at it, then walked past without a word. A small moment, yet it echoed. Stephen told himself it would change. Kids are firewalls. They push, test, see what breaks. Stephen did not demand respect. He tried to earn it. He showed up to school basketball games even when Tyler pretended not to see him. Drove him to practice when Laura was stuck at the hospital. Bought him a new pair of Air Jordans when the soles of his old ones peeled like tired skin. Tyler said nothing. No thank you, just took them and shut his bedroom door. Later, Stephen found the box in the trash, shoes barely used. Still, he kept trying. He covered Tyler's failing math by hiring a tutor out of pocket, sat with him through algebra homework even after 12-hour security audits, repaired Tyler's car after an engine light came on, spark plugs, filters, oil change, final bill $200. Tyler took the keys, revved the engine, peeled out of the driveway without looking back. Laura kissed Stephen's cheek that night and whispered, "He needs time." Stephen nodded because love sometimes sounds like patience or denial. He started planning a future around them, adjusted his 401k contributions, created a college fund in a sub-account titled TH, remodeled the basement into a game room Tyler never used. He did not post about it, did not seek applause. The best sacrifices are often invisible. Emotional labor is not something you log or invoice. You just carry it like encryption. Quiet, essential, unnoticed unless it fails. But little signs grew. Tyler ignoring Stephen at dinner. Muttered insults passed as jokes. Laura smoothing everything over with that tired smile nurses wear even when their feet ache. Love stretched thinner each month, but Stephen held on. He believed in family the way he believed in secure systems, resilience over time, stability through investment. Sometimes he caught Tyler watching him with something darker than teenage rebellion. Resentment sharpened into purpose. Like a breach waiting, studying for the perfect exploit. Stephen kept hoping love would patch the vulnerabilities. He never expected the breach to come at 3 a.m. But now, standing in that cracked silence, he traced every small moment that led them here and realized, some systems do not fail suddenly. They fail slowly, and the crash seems loud only because you ignored the warnings. Conflict did not arrive like thunder, loud and unmistakable. It came in dinner conversations that derailed into tension, weekly patterns of disrespect that felt like hairline fractures beneath polished hardwood. One night, Stephen cooked pot roast. 2 sides, warm bread from the oven. Something domestic, something comforting. Laura smiled, grateful, sitting close enough that her shoulder touched his. Tyler joined barefoot, hoodie up, fork in hand, like he was arriving at a cafeteria rather than a table prepared for family. Stephen asked about practice, casual, easy. Tyler stabbed a potato, eyes rolled. "Why do you care?" A small sentence, but heavy. Laura looked up, tired but gentle. "Tyler, that was unnecessary." He shrugged, kept eating. Silence stretched, thin as glass. Stephen did not react. He had seen systems breached by over-response. Calm containment was strategy. He carried dinner forward, redirected conversation, pretending the fracture was minor. It did not heal. Another night, Tyler slammed his fork down when Stephen reminded him dishes were his chore. A short fuse lit by nothing. "You are not my father. Stop pretending you run this house." He stood, chair scraping the floor, storming out. Laura whispered apologies, her voice fragile. "He has been through a lot. The divorce messed him up more than I thought." Stephen nodded. He knew trauma leaves residues like corrupted files, difficult to clean without total rebuild. But the excuses came often. Too often. Each incident logged silently in Stephen's mind like intrusion attempts, threat levels increasing. But he stayed patient. He believed care could rewrite resentment. He attended basketball games even when Tyler pretended not to see him in the bleachers. Stephen clapped anyway. More than once he was the only adult cheering when Tyler scored. The gym smelled of sweat and winter coats, high school lights flickering like old servers. After one win, Stephen waited by the exit holding Gatorade. Tyler walked past him to his friend's car, leaving Stephen standing there like a misplaced app waiting for a user that never clicks. Laura squeezed his hand that night. He noticed, he just cannot show it yet. Stephen offered a thin smile. hope in exile. He tried late-night conversations, soft approaches, sat on the porch one evening while Tyler sulked on the steps, scrolling his phone. Stephen spoke quietly, voice low, so it did not feel like authority. I know things changed fast when I came into your life. I do not want to replace your dad. I just want to be someone you can depend on. Tyler kept scrolling. I do not need you. A message delivered without eye contact, more powerful because of it. Money became another crack. Tyler asked to borrow $200 for school supplies. Later, another $300 for car insurance. Stephen sent transfers through Venmo, no questions, believing responsibility grows from trust, but repayment never came. Instead, entitlement grew like weeds in an unmonitored network. Laura tried to intervene, but guilt chained her words. She whispered one night, "He thinks asking you is easier than asking me. I do not want to push him away." Stephen nodded again, the gesture of a man carrying weight so the person he loves does not have to. Then came the car repair, a dashboard light, a weekend under the hood, spark plugs, oil change, new tires, brake pads replaced, credit card swiped without complaint. Tyler drove away that afternoon without looking back, music loud, middle finger metaphorical if not literal. Stephen stood in the driveway watching the taillights vanish. The cold evening made everything sharper. The number 1300 sat on his statement later like quiet proof of devotion. No thanks, no acknowledgement. Just debt, material and emotional. That night, Stephen lay in bed as Laura slept beside him. He stared at the ceiling, tracing invisible lines, cause, effect, pattern. He thought of how networks deteriorate when ignored. You cannot secure a system that refuses patching. You cannot build respect through transactions. Love is not a loan, it is an investment. And Stephen was starting to wonder if his was sinking into a bottomless account. But he stayed. Because leaving felt like surrender. Because he believed tomorrow might be better. He did not yet understand that some families crack not from what is done wrong, but from what is never made right. 1 week before the wedding, the house changed temperature without changing weather. Everything looked normal on the surface. Save the dates pinned on the fridge, florist emails confirming white roses, Laura trying on her dress in front of the bedroom mirror, smiling like she finally believed she deserved happiness. But beneath it, something pulsed. A tension, quiet and electrical, like static before a storm. Stephen spent evenings finalizing details, seating chart adjustments, payment confirmations, vendor contracts. His laptop screen glowed late into the night. Spreadsheets open next to a glass of whiskey he barely touched. Love was supposed to feel lighter than this, yet everything felt like load balancing under strain. One afternoon, while cleaning the living room, Stephen found Tyler's phone wedged between couch cushions. Normally, he would leave it untouched, respecting privacy. But a notification lit the screen. Group chat preview visible long enough to freeze him in place. Watch me ruin this stupid wedding. Gonna show everyone what a fake he is. Stepdad clown. The language pulsed like malware. Vicious, careless, young. Stephen stared at the screen, pulse slow, mind sharper than pain. He did not invade further. He did not scroll. He saw enough to know intent. This was no teenage phase. It was sabotage. When Tyler came downstairs later, Stephen handed him the phone without a word. Tyler snatched it back, eyes flicking with guilt too fast for denial. The boy's grin was thin, smug, practiced. Maybe do not snoop through other people's stuff, old man. Stephen inhaled through his nose. No yelling, no confrontation. Silence as defense. He turned away and walked to the kitchen, poured another coffee, though he did not need caffeine. He needed clarity. That night, Stephen told Laura what he saw. He spoke carefully, measured like system logs presented to a client. He is planning to disrupt our wedding. He calls me fake, clown. He is not healing. He is escalating. Laura sat at the table, hands wrapped around a mug like it could warm what was cooling between them. He is lashing out. He is scared of losing me. He is just talking big to his friends. He will calm down. Teenagers say things they do not mean. Stephen watched her eyes, soft, pleading, exhausted. A mother defending her child even from the truth. He admired her loyalty, but loyalty can be blind, and blindness can kill a system faster than any breach. He will not stop because we let him, Stephen said quietly. You want me to punish him right before the wedding, she whispered. I want respect, he replied. At least acknowledgement that this is happening. Laura looked down. Silence shaped itself into a wall. For the first time, Stephen felt like an outsider in his own home. The house he remodeled, the future he financed, the love he nurtured. He wondered if he was marrying a woman or marrying into a battlefield. Later, in bed, Laura curled into him like nothing was wrong. Stephen held her, lips near her hair, breathing her in, but there was distance, a small cold place growing inside him, like a cracked file that might corrupt the entire drive. She slept with trust in his arms. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying Tyler's messages like logs of attempted intrusion. What kind of home am I entering? The question echoed, low and dangerous. He pictured the ceremony, white chairs, vows under sunlight, Tyler in the second row with that smirk, saying something loud enough to break her heart, to humiliate Stephen in front of family, colleagues, the future he worked for. He saw it clearly: disruption, chaos, embarrassment. Respect shattered publicly. Stephen had seen worse in battle training. Systems compromised from inside by overlooked warnings. The thought clawed at him like truth. Maybe this family was never willing to accept him. Maybe he was investing in a future built on land that refused foundation. But he still hoped. Hope is stubborn. Love is even more so. The wedding was in 7 days. 7 days before everything broke. The night it all snapped was colder than December should allow. The house was asleep in layers, furnace humming low, refrigerator cycling, the kind of silence that belongs only to homes where everyone expects tomorrow to look like yesterday. Stephen and Laura were in bed, sheets warm, wedding folders still open on the nightstand. 1 week left. 1 week to vows, to blending families, to starting new. He had let himself believe hope could win. Then the world changed with a single, brutal sound. Boom. Not a knock, not a mistake, a hit. The bedroom door jumped against the frame. Laura's eyes shot open, panic uncoiling like wire. Stephen was already upright, feet touching the floor with the precision of a soldier responding to an alarm. Another kick. Harder. The wood groaned. Boom! He could smell alcohol through the crack under the door. Cheap vodka and cherry energy drink. The scent of recklessness. Stephen unlocked the handle and opened it just enough to see Tyler swaying in the hallway. Hoodie drenched in rain, eyes red and glassy. Phone in one hand, bottle in the other. The boy looked 17 and 10 at the same time. Immature rage packed in a man's body. Without warning, Tyler slammed the door with his foot, forcing it open the rest of the way. Laura gasped. A picture frame dropped from the dresser and shattered, glass scattering like ice. Tyler's voice hit the room first, loud, slurred, venomous. Look at you, Stepdad Wannabe, acting like you own this place. The words cut cleaner than fists. Stephen stood still, posture calm, face unreadable. Years of military drills trained him to absorb chaos before reacting, to choose the controlled response, not the emotional one. Tyler wanted a reaction, craved one. Stephen refused to give it. Laura climbed out of bed, reaching toward her son. "Tyler, please. You are drunk. You need to stop." He yanked his arm away, laughing, mean, childish, victorious. "You are really going to marry this clown. You think he is going to fix us. He is nothing, just a paycheck with a pulse." Stephen breathed once, slow, deep, like diffusing a bomb. He spoke evenly. "Put the bottle down. We will talk when you are sober." Tyler stepped closer, chest forward, poking Stephen hard as if trying to wake a monster. "No, we talk now. You want to be my dad? Say it, say it." His voice cracked into a scream. "You are not him. You never will be." Laura was frozen between them. Mother, partner, torn piece of fabric ripping down the middle. She whispered Stephen's name as if it were a prayer and an apology. Stephen held her gaze for a second, long enough for truth to land. There was no partner next to him, no united front. He was alone in this war. Tyler smashed the vodka bottle against the hallway wall, laughter breaking into something hollow. Liquid dripped down drywall like spilled anger. Glass sparkled under kitchen light. Stephen did not flinch. He watched the boy and saw not rebellion, but a line that would never move. "You think buying stuff makes you family?" Tyler spat. "You paid for my car, so what? You think that buys respect?" Stephen answered softly, "No. Respect is given, not purchased." Tyler staggered back, sneer sharp as a blade. "Then stop trying, because I will not give you anything." Silence collapsed over the room then, slow, suffocating. Laura cried silently, hands trembling. Stephen saw it clearly, like seeing a network diagram from above. Data corruption, no salvageable route, firewall breached from within. You cannot secure a house when someone inside keeps opening the door for chaos. This was not family. This was a battlefield disguised as love. Stephen's voice was calm, terrifying in its lack of heat. "Go to bed, Tyler." Not request, not surrender, just the end of something. Tyler turned, stumbling toward his room, muttering curses that did not matter. The hallway light cast his shadow long and broken against the wall. Stephen looked at the shattered frame. Him and Laura smiling during engagement photos. Pieces of glass reflecting their future in fragments. Something inside him went cold. Not anger, not heartbreak, just clarity. He was done trying to prove he belonged. He lay back beside Laura, but did not sleep. He stared at the ceiling, counting breaths like counting exit strategies. At sunrise, he would make a decision no one expected. He would not fight anymore. He would walk away. Morning arrived without sunrise. The house was still dark when Stephen opened his eyes. Laura slept facing the wall, shoulders trembling with the ghosts of last night. Tyler snored somewhere down the hallway, oblivious, drunk, sleep thick and untroubled, proof that cruelty rarely loses rest. Stephen sat up, breath slow, mind clear. No shouting, no dramatic confrontation, just a quiet decision, clean as a cut from a scalpel. He got dressed, dark jeans, gray sweater, the one Laura once said made him look safe. He smiled faintly at the memory, but it did not warm him anymore. He opened the closet and took out the suitcase he used for cybersecurity conferences. It rolled quietly across hardwood floors, wheels soft as regret. He folded clothes with methodical precision. A soldier packing for retreat. A man ending a mission. Shirts, pants, toothbrush, the leather belt Laura bought him last Christmas. Each item placed like evidence in a case closure. The house remained silent. No one stirred. Downstairs, he flicked on a single kitchen light. Morning was blue and cold through the blinds. Stephen made coffee, not because he wanted it, but because ritual keeps the mind steady. Steam rose in the stillness. He stood there watching it dissipate like promises do. Then he began. He opened his laptop and logged into email. Vendor folders lined the screen like targets. Venue, catering, photographer, band, deposits paid months ago, future built-in invoices and planning sheets. Stephen hovered over the Cancel Reservation button, fingers still for a heartbeat, then pressed. No fanfare, no collapsing violins, just confirmation messages and automated replies. We are sorry to hear of the cancellation. Please allow 5 to 7 business days for partial refund. Do you wish to reschedule? He clicked no again and again. He called the florist, voice steady. I need to cancel the order for Saturday. The woman hesitated. Is everything all right, Mr. Harper? He paused. It will be. He returned the rings last. That hurt, but not like a wound. More like removing a splinter you lived with too long. The jeweler opened the case, eyes kind. Stephen set both rings inside. Engagement diamond catching light before the lid closed. A symbolic shutdown, system offline. On the drive home, his phone stayed silent. He had not told Laura yet. A younger version of him might have left a note, or woken her in a storm of betrayal. But he had learned in cybersecurity that not every threat deserves counterattack. Sometimes containment means walking away. Back at the house, dawn finally arrived. Gray light spreading across the living room. Stephen placed his house key on the marble counter. Next to it, he put a single wedding invitation, flipped over. On the back, he wrote in his measured handwriting, "Love requires respect. I will not beg for it." He looked around. The basement he renovated, the couch he chose, the shelf where he once imagined family pictures. Every object seemed to ask him if he was sure. He was. He picked up his suitcase. No slam. No goodbye call to wake the sleeping chaos. Just a man closing the door quietly behind him. Outside, the air smelled of frost and new beginnings. His car started with a low rumble. He sat there for a moment, hands gripping the wheel, breathing through a heart too heavy to carry but too wise to ignore. Then he typed a single text to Laura. I love you, but I love myself too. When you wake up, I will already be gone. He hit send. No typing bubbles returned. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Stephen drove away with the same calm he once used to exit buildings during fire drills, knowing flames would follow, but also knowing survival depends on moving forward. He did not look back at the house, not even once. This was not abandonment. It was choosing peace over war. A new chapter over a broken one. He drove into the pale morning like a man finally stepping out of a burning room. The house woke differently without Stephen in it. Not like a home rising to morning, but like a machine booting with missing hardware. Framework intact, system failing silently. Tyler was the first to stir. His head pounded, throat raw with last night's liquor. He stumbled from his room expecting the usual, coffee smell. Stephen hunched over his laptop checking firewall logs or investment portfolios. Instead, he found stillness. No suitcase by the door, no boots on the mat. The kitchen light was off, blinds half open to a pale morning. On the counter sat a house key. Beside it, the flipped wedding invitation with handwriting he recognized instantly. Tyler frowned, picking it up, reading the sentence once, twice, 3 times. Love requires respect. I will not beg for it. He swallowed hard. A strange sound escaped him, somewhere between a scoff and something more fragile. He looked toward the hallway, expecting Stephen to step out of the shadows, Say something sarcastic, take control like always, but only silence answered back. He opened the basement door. The newly framed walls stood bare. Half-sanded drywall, exposed wiring. Insulation still rolled on the floor. The gaming light Stephen picked out sat unopened in a box, a future waiting for a family that no longer existed. Tyler's shoulders dropped an inch. Laura came downstairs moments later, hair messy, eyes swollen. She scanned the room like a woman searching for what she already knew she lost. Her gaze found the key, then the note. Her hand flew to her mouth as if catching a cry too heavy to hold. "No," she whispered, voice breaking in slow motion. Tyler shifted uncomfortably. "Mom, he's being dramatic. He will be back." Laura turned to him, not angry, but devastated in a way that made anger pointless. Her voice shook like brittle glass. "Do you think he left because of one night, Tyler? He left because of every night." Tyler looked away. She opened her phone. Notifications sat untouched. Vendor cancellations, refund confirmations, florist apologies, jeweler receipt. The wedding she dreamed of was gone in a neat digital trail, a dismantled life in email chains. Her knees buckled. She sank onto a chair and cried, shoulders shaking, breath jagged. Not just for Stephen, but for the version of herself who believed love could fix a house full of cracks she refused to see. Tyler watched her fall apart. His usual smirk did not surface. His swagger evaporated, leaving only a teenager staring at a consequence like a mirror he had avoided. For the first time, guilt mapped itself across his face. Slow, dawning, irreversible. He whispered, "Mom, I did not think he would actually leave." Laura lifted her head, tears wetting her shirt. "Because you thought he would stay no matter how you treated him." She exhaled, a sound like surrender. "And I let you believe that?" They sat in silence, a silence heavier than yelling ever could be. Hours later, Stephen returned, not to reconcile, but to close the loop. His truck pulled into the driveway with the calm of a tide coming in one last time before retreat. Tyler peeked through the window, chest tight. Laura stepped outside first, wiping her face, trying to hold dignity the way nurses hold dying patients, steady hands over breaking hearts. Stephen stood by the truck door, posture straight, suitcase still inside. He looked rested, not joyful, not angry, just free in a way that hurt to witness. Laura approached slowly. "Stephen, please talk to us." He nodded once. "That is why I came." Tyler followed slower, eyes avoiding Stephen's. No insults now, no drunken bravado. Just a boy facing the man he tried so hard to push away. Stephen spoke calmly, like briefing a client after an incident response. "I do not hate you, either of you, but I cannot build a family where I am treated like a stranger in my own home." Laura's voice cracked. "We can fix it. Therapy, boundaries, consequences. I should have acted sooner." Stephen held her gaze, kind, sad, final. "Maybe you can fix it, but not with me as the foundation." Tyler swallowed. I am sorry." The words landed too late, but they were real. Stephen looked at him, not with contempt but with truth. Respect is not owed, but love is not owed either. No raised tones, no bitterness, just clarity that cut deeper than rage ever could. He handed Laura an envelope, receipts, passwords transferred, final bills covered. A tidy exit, a man closing his loop with discipline and grace. Then he stepped back, eyes soft. "Take care of each other. Truly." He got in the truck, engine rumbling. Laura reached for the door, hesitation trembling in her fingers, but she did not pull it open. She knew this was the moment she lost him. Not from lack of love, but from lack of protection. Stephen drove away again. This time, neither of them believed he would return. The lakeside apartment was nothing extravagant. 2 bedrooms, neutral walls, hardwood floors that creaked when weight shifted, a balcony facing the water where morning fog hovered like breath on glass. But to Stephen Harper, it was freedom. No slamming doors. No insults echoing across dinner tables. No need to brace for the next emotional breach. His first week there felt almost unreal. Sunrise arrived quietly through sheer curtains, painting the room gold. Stephen brewed coffee without stepping over tension. He ate breakfast without negotiating peace. Silence no longer felt like punishment. It felt like space he finally earned. He built a routine the way he once built servers. Carefully, with long-term stability in mind. Mornings he walked along the lake, water rippling with early light, ducks cutting V-shapes across the surface. He joined the local gym where nobody cared who he was marrying or who hated him. Men nodded, women smiled. Trainers asked him about form instead of family conflict. He worked out with discipline muscle memory had been waiting to use. Deadlifts, controlled breathing, sweat washing out the past. At night, he sat on the balcony, laptop on his knee, consulting quietly on network security for small businesses. No background yelling, no phone vibrating with demands or apologies or drama disguised as conversation. Just keys clicking, steady, like heartbeats returning to normal rhythm. Neighbors introduced themselves casually, like community does when it is not broken. Mark, from next door, who grilled on Sundays. Leah, who jogged at dawn and always offered leftover muffins. They did not ask about his past. They asked what time he liked his coffee, whether he was coming to the cookout, if he had seen the lake freeze in January. Human questions. Gentle ones. Sometimes he caught himself expecting chaos. A door slam, a teenage voice rising. Laura crying in quiet desperation. Muscle memory of survival. But nothing came. Just calm. The kind of calm people forget they deserve when they spend too long in noise. He was not bitter. That surprised him. He had every reason to be, yet anger was absent. It had evaporated somewhere between the drive away and the first peaceful sunrise. Love did not fail. It just demanded conditions that neither side could meet. He could accept that now. One evening, after unpacking the last box, Stephen found the small velvet ring box tucked between folded sweaters. He held it for a long moment, thumb brushing over its corner. The ring was still beautiful. White gold, clean lines, purchased the day he believed future meant together. He sat on the edge of the bed, apartment quiet around him. Stillness filled the room, soft but firm. He opened the box. The diamond caught light from a lamp beside him, scattering reflections across the wall like shards of memory. Good dinners, soft laughter, Laura leaning into his shoulder, Tyler scowling in the doorway, a life almost built. Stephen exhaled slowly, no bitterness in the sound, just release. He closed the box and placed it in the top drawer, not thrown out, not displayed, stored, archived, like data from a chapter closed but not deleted, a lesson, not a wound. He sat there a moment longer, letting peace settle. The lake breeze drifted through the window, cool and clean, carrying the scent of pine. Somewhere outside, a dog barked. Someone laughed. The world moved forward, and so did he. He smiled, not wide, not triumphant. A small, quiet smile, the kind that belongs to a man who knows he saved himself. Later, he stepped onto the balcony again, leaning against the rail as the sky turned orange, then purple. He watched a couple walking by the water holding hands, their shadows stretching across the path. Stephen did not feel envy, only hope. Maybe one day he would love again, maybe not. Both paths felt all right. What mattered was simple. He was not bleeding anymore. He was breathing. Behind him, the drawer containing the ring remained slightly open, as if acknowledging the past without chaining him to it. Stephen reached over and slid it shut gently. Final click, soft but absolute. A new chapter, a quiet life, one built on respect he would never apologize for knighting, and for the first time in years, Stephen Harper felt truly free. In the end, Stephen did not win with rage or revenge. He won with self-respect. He showed us that love is powerful, but boundaries are what protect it. You cannot force someone to value you, and you cannot build a future where respect does not exist. Sometimes walking away is not weakness. It is choosing peace over chaos, choosing dignity over crumbs of affection. This story reminds us that healing often begins when we finally stop trying to be accepted by those who refuse to see our worth.